Good morning, everybody. I welcome you all to this press briefing. I'm pleased to be joined by the Chairman of the Council of the District of Columbia, Phil Mendelson, our Mayor-elect, Muriel Bowser, and Councilmember Jack Evans, who chairs the Committee on Finance and Revenue, and also has had an important role to play in helping us to get to this place with respect to our soccer stadium. We're here today to be able to announce the great news, I think, that we have reached an agreement on a financing plan. And I especially want to thank Mayor-elect Bowser. I want to thank Chairman Mendelson, who will speak next. I want to thank Councilmember Jack Evans and Kenyon McDuffie, who I guess he's not here. Okay. And I want to thank our Chief Financial Officer also, Jeff DeWitt, who has worked with us tirelessly too on this, and of course Alan Liu, our City Administrator, who has played an important role in so many big, projects in the District of Columbia, not the least of which is the one that we're in right now, and that is the Convention Center, as well as the National Stadium. So why don't you gentlemen come up and join us as well. I want to thank the other members of the Council as well, because we come here today on the heels of the Council having unanimously approved going ahead with a soccer stadium, and of course the additional work to be done involved the financing plan, which is what we're talking about today. So today I am pleased to transmit a supplemental budget that will fully finance the district's portion of the new budget point development, and we ask the Council to consider that at its next meeting on December 16th. With the support of the Chairman, with the Mayor-elect's support, we are hopefully poised to be able to have a vote on the financing plan on the 16th, as I mentioned. This is a supplemental budget that has been streamlined to fully fund the stadium, and I am happy too, because this was a sticking point along the way, that I think we have an agreement, which the Chairman will talk about, that there will be no other projects that will be considered in the course of that supplemental. I'm also pleased to say that the financing plan that we've developed is consistent with my own commitment to keep the capital funds necessary to acquire and remediate the land at Buzzard Point at or below $150 million. That was a commitment we made from the beginning, and the actual cost will be about $139 million to the District of Columbia. The legislation that we will transmit will also recommend reprogrammings that will align necessary funds to be able to move forward. We are following some of the advice and guidance of our CFO to split the reprogrammings off from the supplemental so that we follow the right path on that. Not only is this a stadium that will accommodate our soccer team, it also will be a tremendous catalyst for economic development in an area of the city that is largely devoted to industrial purposes at this stage. An area of the city, I think if you go down there, you are once impressed with how blighted it is, but you're also impressed with the potential, because it is in close juxtaposition to the Nationals baseball stadium. This will be a LEED certified soccer stadium. It will, for those of you seeing the rendering, it will be state-of-the-art and will generate, at least our best estimates anyway, about $1.6 billion in economic activity, will support over 1,000 full-time jobs as a result of the stadium being constructed, and will generate about $65 million in other benefits associated with the project. If you look at some of the other projects, some of the development around town, you will see the potential that we have here. Look at the Convention Center and what it did for Mount Vernon Square. Look at what the Verizon Center did for Gallery Place. what the Reeves Center did for U Street, and what the Nationals ballpark has done for the M Street, Navy Yard area, all of which have been tremendously stimulated as a result of those venues being located there. Again, Buzzard Point is an underutilized industrial area, and this will be a tremendous catalyst to being able to move us forward. It also, frankly, will, I think, be a catalyst for another project that is important to this city, and that is the South Capitol Street Bridge. We have made a commitment to move forward with that. The timetable is still being worked out, and Mayor-elect, that'll be one on your watch, which I'm sure you will move forward with that as well, since the council weighed in on that project a few months ago. In any event, there's so many people who have weighed in on the desire to have a world-class soccer facility. Soccer is an increasingly popular sport in this city, not just at the professional level, but go out to some of our playgrounds and some of our recreational areas, and you'll see how many kids are playing soccer now. And there's no doubt in my mind that with having a new stadium, having a first-class venue like this, that we also will attract lots of young people as well, who will come out and participate in watching the professional team. And who knows, the day may come when some of these young folks actually play for the DC United. So with that having been said, I'd like to call upon our chairman of the council to address you on this issue. Then we'd appreciate hearing from our mayor-elect, and then Mr. Evans and our CFO. Okay? You too, Alan. You're the only one that didn't.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning to everybody. My message here is very simple, and that is that the executive and the legislative branch have an agreement that we're going to move forward with full funding this month with regard to the soccer stadium, and that the funding will be focused solely on the soccer stadium. As you know, there was a little bit of a dust-up last week with regard to funding, and that measure included some other provisions in it, and I know that the mayor's had some concern about whether legislation that he sends down to the council would deal with other matters as well, and I've given him my commitment that there will not be other measures added to the legislation. What we're focusing on is soccer only, and we're focusing on fully funding the soccer stadium project this month, so that when we vote for the second reading, which is what we have to do next week on the soccer bill, we have accompanying that the financing as well. It's all wrapped up as a package and completed this year. So the mayor's staff and the council's budget staff and several of the members we've all been kind of working together, which is the important thing, that we're all working together to ensure that we have the right financing in place. I think it's really good news. I mean, you can look at what we did last week as good news, that the council voted unanimously for moving forward with the soccer stadium, but the financing is the other piece, and that's why we're here today. And I want to thank the mayor for his working with us and with my colleagues in being part of this constructive process. Thank you. Let me introduce our mayor-elect and councilmember from Ward 4.
Well, thank you, and I want to congratulate the gentleman to my left who have come a good distance from last week and put on the table, I think, for the members of the council next week, a set of recommendations for funding that are in the best interest of the District of Columbia. So it's been my privilege, but also a very interesting spot to be the Ward 4 council member, the chairwoman of the Economic Development Committee, and the next mayor during this process. And I think we are all very excited, and indeed it is good news, Phil, to be able to say that we are in a very responsible way investing at Buzzard Point, making a home for our soccer team, and creating jobs and opportunities for DC residents and businesses, and I'm looking forward to a clean vote next week.
Jackson, thank you.
And good morning, everyone. And I was just thinking about the first meeting I had on this soccer stadium. It was with Pierre L'Enfant and George Washington. We all got together and
That's an old joke. An old joke.
planned it out, but it took a little time to get there. And
I heard it was with Galileo.
Were you there?
well,
No, I wasn't.
I was with Frederick Douglass. We lobbied President Lincoln on it, but it still didn't go anywhere. So, but it took Mayor Gray to finally get this thing done. So, give the mayor a big round of applause. And Alan Liu, Alan and the mayor really did, and I want to thank.
Not with him at the meeting where Peter.
Oh God, you learn in the District of Columbia persistence. If you stay with it long enough, you wear out everybody else, or they disappear, and you finally get things done. But I'm very excited to be here today. I do want to thank the mayor for all his work on this. Chairman Mendelson and the mayor have worked together to get this financing package down. Councilmember Bowser at Economic Development, McDuffie at Government Ops, and my committee at Finance and Revenue that moved the bill through. Jeff DeWitt, who's done a terrific job as the CFO, and then Alan Liu. And the rest of the team out here that I can see, people on my staff, the mayor's staff, and the other staffs who have done a terrific job in getting this done. And, I was thinking about the other major projects that we've done here. Starting with the Verizon Center, which was a controversial project. People forget it was an 8-5 vote on the council, barely got through, would never work, and you can see the result of that. This building, Convention Center, 7-6 vote on the council. I had this woman follow me around in a white elephant costume for 2 years. It's a true story. Heckling me everywhere I went, saying that the Convention Center wouldn't work, and you can see the result of that. Baseball stadium, 7-6 vote, 12 times on the council. I think you voted against it 12 times. 12 times. But we managed to get that through. So I have to tell you how thrilled I am. The soccer stadium passed 13-0. So under the chairman's leadership. So thank you, Phil, for getting that done. And today's reason, as the chairman mentioned while we're here today, is when the mayor sends down a supplemental budget, it is a opportunity for the council members to change things, to, quote, create mischief. And the chairman and myself and Councilmember Bowser are here to say that we are going to do all we can to prevent anyone from changing the supplemental as the mayor has sent it down to deal with soccer. And that's our commitment. That's our clean vote, a 13-0 vote, no mischief. And we're going to get this thing done. And we're here publicly to state that that's our commitment here today. And I'm really looking forward to another 13-0 vote, getting the soccer stadium built, and having another professional team in the District of Columbia, really, really for all of our residents. So thank you all, and Jeff DeWitt.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with everyone on this particular issue. As you was just mentioned, this was a unanimous vote by the council, support by the mayor. So as the CFO, it's my responsibility to help try to get the thing done and get it financed. And you'll see a package coming forward that does it within the existing resources, through reprogrammings, through using resources within the district, within the agreement, to get a soccer stadium funded in a fiscally responsible way. And it's been an honor to work with the mayor, his budget staff, the chairman, his budget staff, the mayor-elect, and her transition team and her staff, and all the people in the district to come together over the last week to pull this together and get it ready to submit to council for approval to move forward with the soccer stadium. So it's been a pleasure working with everyone on this, and thank you.
Alan Liu.
So I feel bloodied by all this, No, but I think it's a great moment. It's great for the city. Major accomplishment by the mayor-elect, and the chairman of the council, and of course Jack Evans. I'd like to also thank Mark Toohey, who the mayor-elect brought in to help us. He was former chairman of the D.C. Sports Commission. I don't know how he does this, because I don't think he was paid to do this, but he seems to have managed to find a lot of time to engage in sports venues like this. And I'd like to also acknowledge a couple of people that have been working hard in the background to help us kind of get this together. From Eric Goulet, the mayor's budget director, Scott Burrell from my team, and maybe we shouldn't forget that Jason Levian somewhere is here, and the DC United organization, and although he's a hired gun, I think John Bowker has been a major player in this whole thing. So I'd like to thank these guys, and congratulations, everyone.
Okay. Tom? Your hand was the first one up, as usual.
That's an easy question. Has anyone in Congress indicated they might try to block this deal?
No. No pun intended, of course, but we certainly wouldn't get a kick out of that.
Maybe they will now.
The chairman's alluding to dropping extra projects. That would be the hopscotch bridge, I'd imagine.
I just looked at what we're doing, not what we're not doing.
Correct. I mean, the point I made before is that the funding is focused solely on the soccer stadium and not other projects.
Where's the money? I mean, where are you on the hopscotch bridge? Is that not going to happen? Or
Well, I fully support it, and there is funding. It's in the out years in the capital plan. But that, the important thing is that we need to focus on soccer. That's what the issue is. And while there may be other projects, while there are other projects that are important to the mayor, or important to me, or important to others, we complicate the situation. We don't need to complicate the situation. The goal is to fund the soccer stadium, and that's what we're here for.
Martin.
So what's the final price tag? What's the budget actually going to be that the council considers? And then also, what other costs is the city going to have to, what other money is the city going to have to spend outside of the supplemental budget for the deal?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it looks like it's at $139 million, which is below the 150 threshold that we set. With a project as complicated as this, there could be changes to that, of course, but I don't think there'll be any material changes in it.
I would give a slightly different answer, and it's not to disagree with the mayor. As he noted, there's a $150 million cap. It's in the legislation. That's with regard to the horizontal costs. There are other costs to the city. The largest that comes to mind is the cost of the tax abatement. And my recollection, because the sales tax abatement is not in the legislation that was taken out, there's the real property tax. There are different ways of counting that. As I recall, in net present value dollars, it's around $40 million. So one could argue that's an additional cost to the city for the project. And I think there are some others that get it up around $200 million. But in terms of the actual costs that the city's putting in for the stadium, that's capped at 150, and the mayor was saying he thinks it's about 139. We've been looking at numbers that are 135, 139.
So where's Akron on all this, on the land?
I would say that Akridge is not pleased that the Reef Center is not part of the proposal. And as I said I met with them last week, this is a business transaction. And the transaction, as it's gone through the council, is to exclude the Reef Center. And so I would say they're not happy, but that's where they are.
Are they going to sell them? Are they willing to sell? Is Akridge willing to sell the land, or are you going to have to do it?
I'm not going to begin to speak for Akridge on this.
Or they told the city. They must have told the city something.
My last conversation was more a request than it was a telling.
I don't think we have a...
We will see what happens.
Yeah, Mr. Liu, is Akridge still off the reservation, so to speak?
I don't really have a report on that. The last times we talked, they realized that if we can't acquire the property for the prices that I think that's been on the table, that the city would seek eminent domain to acquire the site.
So if I could follow up on eminent domain, we have a number here, 139 million, with a cap of 150 million. My understanding is that the numbers run on this budget assume paying Akridge the price that was previously negotiated with the Reef Center in it. If that price goes up, how does this deal sort of change, and how, will that potentially break the cap that's been set?
I think we'd still be in the 150 range. We'd be inside that number.
Lou?
I was just wondering, Mr. Liu, or the mayor, or Chairman, in terms of the options of eminent domain, is that being sought to be just for the footprint of the stadium itself, or is there some discussion of having it extend to the surrounding area where other development would take place?
No, we're talking about the site, the assemblage, for the soccer stadium.
Just the stadium.
Right.
Yeah. No, there's no other land grab. All right. Thank you all very much.
Can we ask a question about the Congress while you have all the city leaders here?
No. No, we're here for soccer today.
Congress castrated the city's law. What are you going to do?
You did it anyway, right?